So that fearlessness which comes in, of course, there are different practices, including meditation, but also I feel this very, very effective way of connecting to the cerebrospinal fluid is also there, which we can consider. We're going to talk a lot more in depth about it. And like I said, we're going to get in from the world of somatic EMDR. And the reason why we're going to get somatic EMDR is because I feel that whenever we work with something as powerful as our bodies, as magnificent as our bodies, sometimes these magnificent bodies also keep score of certain tragedies or certain trauma which may have happened in our life, certain things which were unpleasant for us, uncomfortable for us. The intensity could be whichever on the scale, but things which were not very pleasant, and the body keeps score. So when you start working with the body, as some of us, in fact, all of us in the world of meditation realize that even when we are meditating, sometimes some things could come up which may be very uncomfortable. So that is where processes like resourcing, where you can have an ally with you to depend on. So we're actually going to work on developing some resources during this particular workshop so that not only do we have that ally with us, but also be able to look at something which is uncomfortable, but yet have that ally with us, which we can go back to. So we're going to cultivate dual awareness or pendulation, as it's called in somatic EMDR, or dual awareness in that sense. We're going to go more into that, what exactly that means. We are also going to get in the felt sense, which is basically interoceptive awareness, the awareness of what your bodily states are, not only in terms of sensations, but also in terms of the emotions. So what is a felt sense? A felt sense is like, for example, when you see a painting in the museum and you get moved by that experience, or you see children playing in the playground and you're touched by that experience, or someone that you really, really love comes and meets you after a long, long time and you're absolutely elated by that experience. So the joy, the sensations in your body, the emotions that you're feeling. So it's a complete inner landscape which we are looking at when we're looking at felt sense. So we're going to talk more about that, because when you hone in, when you develop the felt sense, then when you are working on in your body, you can actually feel it more. So once the cerebrospinal fluid actually has pulsation. So if you saw in that video that I shared right in the beginning, in the blue was the cerebrospinal fluid, right? And it was coming in pulses. So when you have it coming in pulses, you want to be able to connect to that, those pulses, so that you can get the whole potentiality of the experience. And that's why the felt sense is important. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a lot to do with some of the techniques which we are going to bring in. We're going to be talking about a lot more of what the cerebrospinal fluid does and what are the different techniques, which need not be just from the world of yoga, but could be just plain simple dancing. Belly dancing is great for moving a cerebrospinal fluid. The cranial sacral massage therapy, that's great. Any kind of massage in that sense is great. Anything which can initiate or activate the parasympathetic nervous system, that is great for the cerebrospinal fluid to keep it healthy. Because as you know, that the cerebrospinal fluid, which I just shared, is 99% water. And water, if it stagnates, there are a lot of problems which come in. So you don't want it stagnating, you want it to flow. And therefore you want the cerebrospinal fluid to flow. And all these modalities we're going to be discussing a lot more about in the workshop. So if that interests you, feel free to explore it. If you have any questions, you can always write into me at sonal@connectmeditation.com. I would love to answer your questions, would love to hear from you. Even if there's no question, just want to share something. It's always wonderful to hear from you. So just feel free. And before I end, I want to lead you through an exercise. This is not going to be on breath work, which is one of my favorite ways to move the cerebrospinal fluid. We've done enough work on the breath in the previous podcast, and I'm sure there are enough videos on the net with regard to breathing techniques, which are absolutely essential, and we are going to look at them in the workshop. But I want to leave with something about the felt sense. So I want to lead a small exercise on how we can become more aware of our bodily senses, because I feel even before you start working with the cerebrospinal fluid, it's so important that it's a resourced process, and it's a process which has helped you, which even before you started, you are have you worked on developing the felt sense, on interoceptive awareness, so you can get the full potential of the work that you do with the cerebrospinal fluid with your body. Now we move on to the exercise. It's a short exercise, like I said. And again, like I said, it's by choice. So if you feel comfortable, you may like to come along with us for this exercise. And I would request you to be gentle with yourself. If you're experiencing any kind of discomfort or distress while doing this exercise, you can always stop, take a short break, and let everything settle down. So just find a comfortable and quiet space. So sit on a chair, or you can lie down on the floor. And just feel your feet touching the floor and how they are being supported. Just feel the sensation of your feet being supported. Feel your hands resting either on your lap, on top of your belly, or on the floor, wherever they are. Just feel your hands as they are resting. Feel how your hands and arms are being supported. Feel your back, which is being supported by the chair or the floor. If you want to adjust your posture until you find something which you're completely comfortable and supported in, please feel free to do that. And use your senses to connect with the pleasant sensation around you. You can explore the colors, shapes, lights, shade in the room, the shades in the room around you. Just take a moment to see what all is there in terms of the colors, shapes, light, shades in the room. And then if there is a fragrance in the room which calls your attention, you may want to focus on that. Just tuning into the sense of smell. Perhaps there's a scent that you have on, or there's an aroma coming from outside. And now bring your attention to the texture of your clothes, of the chair, or of the floor. The tactile sense, touch. And now listen to the sounds in the environment, those in the room or outside, from far off. If you can listen to any sounds, the sound of my voice. Just connecting to a sense of hearing. And now use your internal senses to connect with the pleasant sensation within you. Bring your attention to your relaxed muscles. Pay attention to the softness of your breath. And feel the warmth and the coziness of your body. Draw your attention to each of these internal sensations for a few moments each time. And just notice the physical and emotional comfort that they generate. And now, whenever you feel ready, you can gently tune in back to this podcast. So after having a sense of the felt sense, this is what the felt sense is. We're just giving a little bit of grounding to our bodies and to what we are feeling. So sensations and what we are feeling at that particular point about them, pleasant. We focus on the pleasant sensations. This is more of something which is pleasant. We're not really looking at ventilation or dual awareness in that sense, just more of a place wherein we are just developing some allies through our bodies. And I feel our bodies are ours. They are for us to feel, to know about more and more. It's so fascinating. Daniel Siegel has this beautiful line in which he says, when he talks about the brain, he talks about the hand model of the brain. And in one of my podcasts, I have spoken about this and I will continue. And we will hopefully look at that in the workshop also. So he has a beautiful model. So he kind of just puts a fist like this and he says, this is a hand model of the brain. And so this is how the brain is sitting inside. And then he goes on to telling about the brain. This is your spinal cord. This signifies the arm signifies the spinal cord, and the brain stem, the limbic system. I'm not going to go into more of the detail out here because I've already done it in some of my earlier podcasts and we'll do more about it in the workshop. But then he says that every citizen should know about their brains. And I feel each one of us around on planet Earth may consider getting to know more about our bodies. There are bodies to feel, to know more about. So this is a beautiful exercise to know more about that particular sense of our bodies, of our internal states, of what we are feeling. So with that, I leave you at this point of time. Thank you so much for being with us for this particular amazing, magnificent liquid which is there in the middle of our brains, outside our brains, inside our spinal cord, outside our spinal cord. And if you have any questions with regard to it or anything to do with the workshop, please feel free to write into me. Like I said, my email ID is sonal@connectmeditation.com. I would love to hear from you. And now, wishing you all the very best for your day, or of course, if you are retiring for the night, if it's towards the day, whichever part of the world that you are in, lots of love, lots of light. Thank you so much once again for your presence with us.